What's up guys, Foamy here, and I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to do a mission within FMission. So first, over here I've got a code block file, and I'll clean this up and release it with FMission so you guys have it for scripting, because it makes it a lot easier, really fast. You can just copy all the stuff I've already written. I don't have to write it every time I need to put it in a script. I just copy it, paste it, and change a few variables, and off I go. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into creating the mission. Okay, so let's start with the top here, and this is where you define, the name and et cetera, et cetera. It's just used for keeping track. Now we're using the M1 template, so this is going to be an M1 mission, and this is what determines all these ones, determine the start stoppage of other things. So it's important that these be correct, otherwise things will go haywire. Now the mission types are M1 for main missions, M2 for side missions, M3 for minor hunt gather missions. Okay, so keeping those categories so that way I can file them properly within the mission pack itself. Okay, if they're included. All right, so got past that, and here's where you add in all the names of stuff, like the vehicles you create, the AI you create, the variables you create, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to keep them within the scope of this script so they don't interfere with things outside. And the formatting is important. Now let me use this example over here to describe the formatting, because I've had some questions about this. So this is from the init file. This is the Epoch event scheduler section. Okay. Now, as you can see, master brackets for the whole thing, ended with the semicolon to close it. Okay, now the entry within it, master brackets, but there's no closer. Okay, this determines the script name. This determines the minutes in game every hour that it'll run. So 12:23, 1:23, 2:23, etc. These you can just leave alone. Okay, now here we can see we're running more than one launcher, so we're going to format just a little bit differently. So we have our master brackets that are closed with the semicolon. Okay. Now within within this we have multiple entries. Now each entry, as you can see, master brackets, but it's separated with a comma. Okay, all the way down until the last entry, because this comma tells the system that to expect another entry. So if there's no comma, you're basically telling the system that there's nothing else. So it ends. Great. Okay. Keep that formatting, and you're golden. Now that formatting translates here as well. So as you can see, master brackets closed with the semicolon, and these guys are encapsulated with quotations and separated with a comma. Now every one separated with a comma until the last one. See, no comma, it's the end. All right. Okay, so here's where we set the spawn chance. The higher this number, the more likely the mission is to spawn. Okay. This is just the reporting and what tells the script to exit if this fails. So this will always be the same. Just leave that from there from the template. What you will change though are the dialogue reportings. Okay, you'll see how it just says mission name. You'll change all those to your mission name, but don't change any of that. You don't need to. That's fine. Okay, so now let's get into the loot box setup. And how that goes is the formatting, again, is going to be very familiar to what I've just described. So here we have the master brackets, as you can see, for the whole list itself, okay? Ended with the semicolon, okay? Now each section is this, okay? Master brackets here, boom. And you have your comma separating because there's more than one entry. There's two entries, as you see, okay? And on this one, see, there's no comma. Again, no comma. System tells the system not to expect anything else. Now, within each one of these lists are three sections, okay? The first one is your weapons and your tools, and like binoculars, night vision, as you can see. Comma, get it? Line, comma, separates it. Okay, the next line, master brackets, is your items, ammunition, etc. The things that would appear in the squares in your inventory, okay? Then we have a comma because we have the third section of backpacks. This is backpack only. So if you didn't want to do backpacks, you would just simply remove this section here, okay? And this comma, because this would now be the last entry in this block. See? So last entries, no commas. Okay, we're going to leave that in there. All right, now to add more, you just copy this whole section, start pasting them in, and then go in and adjust the items. It's that simple to create robust loot lists. And what will happen is when this is called, it'll select one of these guys to feed the loot box. So the more of these you have, the more, different loot loadouts you could possibly have. Okay. Okay, so now this is the next section is the mission variables, and this particular one right here, you'll only need if you have timers, and I'll go over that in another tutorial if you guys are interested in that. But for now, I'm going to skip past this; it's unneeded, but just leave it in there. So the next thing is the wait time, and this is what determines how long the loot box will stay once it spawns. So you want to leave that up for a little bit, give people some time to loot. Okay. Now, this could also mean how long the mission stays active if you have a mission that spawns a loot box at the start. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is dual functioning. All right, now this is the spawn radius. You don't need to adjust this unless you're changing different maps. This is 5,000 is set for Chernus. Works great for Chernus. I don't know what the other maps are. You can experiment, but the smaller the map, the smaller that number needs to be. Think of it as a dot in the center of the map, and then it goes outward, and it goes outward 5,000 meters or whatever you set it to, and then it forms a circle. So a mission will spawn within that circle anywhere that it can find a safe position. So you don't want them spawning out of bounds, so shrink that number on a smaller map. This you don't change at all unless you have a problem with a center loc, but I've never had an issue. So okay, now the same principle with the marker radius. Again, a dot out from the dot to the edge, 350 meters, and a big circle, and somewhere in that gigantic range, 700 meters across, a mission will spawn. Okay, this is the marker color. This is the icon type. Now, this is cool because there are tons of different icons you can use to identify missions. Like say you wanted to have a search mission, you could have a question mark. If you, an investigation mission, you could have an exclamation point. And then here, as you can see, I included a link to this page which shows you the actual name that you'll use to put here. Okay, so there's a reference. This would be the text to describe the mission as far as what you want to display on the marker or on the text icon. And then this is the brush, which is the background of the marker. I'm sure you've seen like different markers with grids or X patterns or whatever. This determines how that is filled in, and in FMarker I put a list of all these guys. You can also look them up online as well. So okay, so these guys right here you're not going to change. This is how the positions get determined. Okay, but you will be using these variables in your script a lot. So as you can see, I'm using them here to determine spawn locations for the AI units, patrols, the AI vehicle patrol, and the AI heli patrol. Okay, because I don't want them spawning on top of each other because they can collide, explode, kill AI before the mission even starts, and it's ugly. So what I've done here is created 3 different positions, one for the AI, and you can see this is how the format goes. This is where the center, that's where the position it's going to base off of. Okay, this is the minimum distance from this position. This is the maximum distance from this position, and this is the distance or minimum distance from an object. So that way when missions are spawning someplace, if a mission spawns near objects, it should keep them away from it. Okay, so I've got 3 positions set already for my future mission. Okay, so now I've got an empty mission body, as you can see. So first thing we want to do is we want to add a marker. All right, so we're going to go over to our marker setup here, and basically all you got to do at this point is just copy these guys in. And as you can see, I'm using these variables already, so I don't have to do anything to this at all except for one thing. If I'm in M1 mission, I do marker 1. If I'm in M2 mission, marker 2. If M3 mission, marker 3, because there are 3 FMarker files. That's it. It's easy as that. Okay, so there's your marker. Now, if you're debugging it and you are going to visit the location and you want to see how everything works, you can set this variable to true, and it'll put a dot exactly where the loop position is, so it'll help you locate it for debugging purposes. Okay? Okay, so now let's go ahead and add in an AI patrol. Okay? Or excuse me, a base. Let's add in a base. Now, where did I put it? There we go. All right, so let's add in a base. And we'll go ahead and put some comments in here. Comments are always /. So this is add marker. Okay, and we'll put one in here. Add base. Okay. Oops. All right. Now, let's go in and add some AI. Let's add an AI patrol. Okay, so we're going to add an AI patrol there. And we're going to go down to the AI section here. Okay, now we're going to use a patrol. So I'm just going to copy this section here, like so. All right. And now, as you can see, this is going to tell the AI unit to spawn at this position. Right here, already predetermined. It's going to have 4 waypoints right here that are 50 meters apart. Okay. And this is the class of the AI that we're spawning. Now there are 3 classes. There are bandit, there's medic, and there's sniper. Okay. Now this is the patrol position. How it may spawn here, but it will patrol based off of this location, so it will patrol around the loop position, okay? And then this is the mission type, M1, okay? That's all you have to change. You don't have to change anything else. Just by doing this, they'll automatically clean up when the mission is over by having this set properly. And the skill level of all AI is random. There are three random skill levels, so you can have an elite, a skilled, or a noob bandit, an elite or a skilled or a noob medic, an elite, a skilled, or a noob sniper, and it's selected randomly. So when you create an AI patrol, so let's go ahead and create a patrol of 4 units. So I just copy this, paste, paste, okay? Now I have 4 units, and we'll go ahead and change this to a sniper, and let's make this guy a medic, okay? So we'll have 2 bandits, a sniper, and a medic. All right, now what we do need to do is we need to number these guys, okay? So they can't all have all the same name. So let's give them a number, just like so. Now we have to add, copy. We add this to the private scope up here, or the private section, okay? And all we do is add a comma. We have 4 units, right? So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. No comma at the end. And now all I do is paste the same thing in each one, okay? And then edit. 2, 3, 4. Okay, simple as that. All right, and of course you would add this up there as well. Let's not be lazy, I guess. So I'll go ahead and see this out. I'm particular about my formatting, but this is a good example. Oops, I put the comma in the wrong place. There we go. See, there you go. You gotta be careful. All right, but that shows you can insert anywhere. You just gotta have the comma. Okay, get it? No comma at the end. All right. Okay, so now we've got our units. Now let's go ahead and add a vehicle patrol. All right, so we go over here and we go to a vehicle patrol. Okay, and grab that. And we just paste that in there. And if we're only doing 1, you don't have to change the name. You don't have to change anything. The only thing you might want to edit is the distance around, as you can see, same with the AI. What we've done here is it's going to spawn at the AI vehicle position, okay? And what I like to do, though, is put a sleep in between of 0.5, okay? always close with a bracket or with a semicolon. And just because it allows the script to kind of run, launch, gives it just that little pause so it doesn't try and do too much at one time. Okay. Now, again, here we go. It's going to spawn the AI vehicle spawn position. It's going to patrol loop position, and it's going to patrol randomly 100 at waypoints 100 meters apart. Okay, so just think of that as like creating an octagon or whatever around your loop position that's with a bunch of waypoints that are 100 meters apart, randomly selected. So, and then of course mission type. Okay. Now, that's all you need to do. If we want to add another one, let's add another one. Let's make sure that I still have that copied. Okay. Then we would just add a 1 and a 2. Okay. Add this to our private section. There's 1. There's 2. Okay. Add these guys in there and change that to a 2. Okay. And you see how we're building this, how easy this is? You just build it in blocks. Okay. Okay, so now that we've got our 2 vehicles spawning, we have a choice to make because they're spawning at the same location, as you can see here. Okay. Now, one choice is that so we don't want them spawning on top of each other; they'll blow up. So you can either put a sleep command in there, put a little pause. That'll give plenty of time for the first vehicle to drive away before the second vehicle spawns. Or you can be a little more clever if you want them spawning a little closer together, and you can do this. Basically make a copy of the vehicle spawn line, okay, and add another one in, and then just label these 1 and 2. Okay, and now what you want to do is copy this, go up here. Okay, now you find AI vehicle spawn pause. Okay, we're going to copy this in, and we're going to change that to a 1, and then we're going to add another one in right there. Okay, done deal. Okay, so now we have 2 vehicle spawn locations. So what we do is we want to update the spawn location of the first one. Okay, spawn position 1. Change this, spawn position 2. Now they're spawning in 2 different locations, but they're both patrolling the same location. Okay? Alright, so that's all you need to do. So now, let's go ahead and add a heli patrol. Alright, so we're going to add a heli patrol now. Come over here, copy this, and let's, oops. Okay, let's add a heli patrol. There we go. And again, if you want to add multiples in, you can do the same thing. We can go ahead and take this sleep timer out. Or just leave it in and put a 0.5. I like to do that in between these functions. Okay. Doesn't hurt. Okay. Alright, so we added the heli, and as you've caught on by now, it's using the AI heli spawn position. So if you wanted to add more helis, just do what you did here. You could add as many as you want. Just increment the numbers up. Add them here, increment them up, and don't forget to add them up here. Okay? Alright, so now what we have is we've got our marker that's run. We've got a base that gets set up. We've got 3 or 4 AI patrols. We've got a vehicle patrol, and we've got a heli patrol. Now, let's say we want to put some static units inside the base. Let's do that. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, now see, I like to keep things nice and neat. So what I'll do is go up to the AI patrol section here, and we'll add another little AI section below. And I call these static AI. Okay, so now we go over here to the AI section. Okay, and here's that add a single static unit. So we want to copy this whole thing there. And we just copy that in. And say we want to add more attackers to this group. Now you don't have to recopy this because this is the global group. Okay, you're going to need this for cleanup. Alright, so all you do to add more units to this is just copy this little section here because this is what makes the unit possible. Okay, and just spawn in a couple more units. Okay, there we go, it's 3. That's good. Now again, same thing. We have to increment them up. Okay. And in all spots. Okay. All right, and then I just copy one. Okay, and then we go up and add it to our private section. Okay, and there's one, there's two, there's three. Okay, so I'm going to paste it in 3 times, and I'm going to increment the numbers. Okay, so we've got our 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now we have our 4 AI patrolling around the base. We have our units inside the base. See, they're all spawning in the base there. So how this works is the unit code basically is the things you would adjust are these 2 guys right here. This would be the skin of the soldier. Not all skins work, but you can try them out. This is the fortification, which is set up here. Could be all kinds of stuff. Look them up. Try different things out. Okay. Let's save that. All right. All right, so now what we need to add is a loot box. So let's go down to the bottom, okay, because these are all of our, we've got our marker, our base, AI patrol, our static AI, the vehicles, the heli. So now let's throw the loot box code in there. So here's the loot box code, and it's in the template. You don't need to modify this whatsoever. You just copy it in there. That creates the box, okay? You don't need to touch this. This is all determined right here. This is the only thing you need to edit. That's it. Okay? So, our loot box is in now. And now we want to put in a message that alerts everybody that the mission has started. So, grab a message. Okay, and you can put it to say anything you want. Okay, there's your mission text. All right, so now we've got a complete functioning mission. We've got the header, we've got the mission type set up, which will control the running of all the cleanups and the and everything else. Okay, and then we've got our private section done, spawn chance, loot box is all set up. We've got the mission parameters or variables all set. The global positions are all done. Those don't get touched. We've got our unit spawning positions, and we've got our marker, our base, our AI patrols, static AI, vehicles, heli, loot box, and a message. Complete mission. So now let's do some cleanup. Okay, now real quick before we, one thing I forgot is before we move on to the cleanup, we need to put a sleep. That determines how long it's going to wait before the mission ends, okay? So the loot box is spawned, and now it's going to basically wait this amount of time before it runs the cleanup script, okay? And that is set right here, okay? All right. As I was saying earlier, this is dual function. This is the wait time after the loot box spawns. So if your loot box spawns when your mission spawns, this is how long the mission lasts. If the loot box doesn't spawn until an objective is completed, then this is how long it'll stay up, made available for it to loot. Now keep in mind that while this is going on, the cleanup is not executing, so the marker is going to stay, all right? Because the marker doesn't get deleted until this gets run, which doesn't get run until this is completed, okay? So let's move on to the cleanup section. Now when the cleanup happens, this right here cleans up the marker, it cleans up these AI patrols, it cleans up the vehicle patrols, the heli patrols. What it does not clean up is the base, the static AI, and the loot box, okay? So we've got to do that manually down here. So all you do is we copy this, and we add one for base. Okay. And then there's a little snippet of code that's in the template that we're going to put here to delete the attack group. Okay. And that's right here. Okay, so now we add that in. And you don't have to change anything in this code with the exception of this, if you use a different name of attack group. Okay? See, attack group. And how I explained that all these units are part of this one group. If you wanted to make a separate group, so say you had two groups, an attack group and a target group or whatever, right? You would have to add another entry like this for whatever other group you made. So say you had target group, you know, okay? Then, okay, you would have your two groups, and it'll delete all the units in those groups, okay? That's how you clean up the mission. Now, don't forget to put this. I think we already did that from, no, we did not. So let's go ahead and put the attack group in, because that's a variable that needs to go in there. There we go. Okay, now it's in there. Okay, so that is a completed mission with cleanup. Very easy. Just stack it. It's a procedural. It goes from start to finish. You know, it reads it from top to bottom. So this is the events of things happening. Just follow the flow. You can add all kinds of crazy stuff anywhere in here. You can have multiple bases by adding in other items that get positions. You know, you can create positions like this for different base items and get really ingenious in making things spawn in certain locations, you know. So, well, that's for a different tutorial later. But this is the basic. This should get you going. Should get you to be able to create a mission in FMission. All right, hope this helped. Okay, guys, there was a couple things I forgot in the main video, so this is going to be like a little addendum to that main video. And I forgot to mention F-loot, and it's kind of easy to forget because it really is pretty transparent in everything. So first of all, you can see that there's no loot call here. And the reason for that is this script here, the create unit script, actually takes care of that based upon the class you assign here. So there's 3 loot loadouts. There's one for bandit, one for sniper, one for medic. So this not only determines the skin type, but it also determines the loot type that will be assigned to this unit. So skill level is also done randomly within the script, so you never know if you're going to get a noob, a skilled, or an elite unit. So it's completely random every time the mission runs. And I also noticed that I had left these guys in here, and I forgot to take them out. You don't need, obviously, 2 set unit positions. Okay, so there we go. All right. Now, in this call, you can see that what we're doing is we're creating the unit. We're giving it loot through F-loot. And again, here's where you adjust which loadout you give it. Either bandit, medic, or sniper. So those are the 3 loadouts that I have currently available in F-loot. I'll create more, but for now, those are the 3 loadouts to choose from. So you would just change that little variable, or that little section right there, for the loadout, and then you can change the skin and the location. Okay? I think that's it. That was about all I forgot. All right, so that should get you guys going, and let me know what other stuff you want to see, you know, tutorials on regarding FMission, and I'll see if I can hook you up with them. Okay? But this should get you going. Good luck.